Welcome to Hardcore Course in Miracles. Welcome to Hardcore Course in Miracles. I'm EARL Purdy, and we're going to go deep. We're going to go deep. That's what we're going to do right now. That's what we're going to do right now. Coming through from deep inside of me and you. It's telling us that love is who I am. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Oh yeah, tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one. Welcome, mighty companions. Yeah, we are one. Welcome, mighty companions. Listen to John. Now let's come together and understand that Christ was born inside of every man. He's waiting for us to choose him as ourselves. When you choose him, you know you choose me too. And everyone becomes a part of you. And then you will know that love is who I am. Welcome to Hardcore Course in Miracles. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one. Yeah, we are one. Oh, we are one. I'm EARL Purdy. I'm EARL Raj Purdy. I want to welcome you to Hardcore Course in Miracles, where I just let the Course in Miracles come through me after 40 years of teaching it and learning it as hardcore as I possibly can. And I want to welcome you to this Facebook Live broadcast. It's so good to see my mighty companions online. And for the next hour, we're going to go down, we're going to go deep, and we're going to be willing to remember and listen to what the Course is saying. We focus on listen. I'm the divine repetition teacher. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one. Oh, we are one. Yeah, we are one. Oh, we are one. I am you, and you are me. That was John Christmas at johnchristmas.com. Don't hesitate to go check out John's Course in Miracles music. This evening, I feel like jumping right in and going really, really deep. And since our purpose is Since our purpose is to remember what it's saying, get clear what it's saying, and then remember it, I'm going to read through the paragraph first, and then I'm going to go back through the paragraph with you. We're going to be on page 260, The Cloud of Guilt, in A Course in Miracles text. 260, The Cloud of Guilt. Because the Course in Miracles says a lot of mind-boggling things that people don't hear because they're too busy analyzing the Course. And so what I like to do is just allow us to hear it and then see if we can remember what it's saying. We're on page 260 in the text. Every word of the Course is really, really powerful. And don't forget, the Course in Miracles is only talking about love or it's talking about fear. That's all it's talking about, how to release fear and to embrace love and be able to tell the difference between what's love and what's fear. So every sentence has a very, very powerful energy behind it. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. First sentence says, guilt remains the only thing that hides the Father. So what does that just say? The only thing that hides love from us, the only thing that hides God from us is guilt. So when guilt hides love, when a person is feeling guilty, they are literally hiding God. They are hiding love, because guilt is the attack upon his Son. Guilt is an attack upon yourself. Whenever you feel guilty, you are attacking yourself. You don't have to believe these ideas. You don't have to accept these ideas. You don't have to welcome these ideas. Some of these ideas are going to be hard to believe. Some of these ideas are going to be real startling, but you're not asked to judge and analyze the ideas at all. It's the use of the ideas that will show you that the Course in Miracles ideas are true. And the first sentence came out kicking butt. The first sentence says, guilt is the only thing that hides you from God. Guilt hides you from love. It hides God. And whenever you experience guilt, the Course says guilt is an attack upon his Son. So you are the Son of God. You are the mind of love. That is what Son of God means. It's not talking about a man or a woman. It says Son is the mind. It's the creation of love. So you are the creation of love. You are the creation of love. And you will not know that you are a creation of love whenever you feel guilty. Feeling guilty keeps you from knowing that you are a creation of love. Feeling guilty keeps you from knowing that you are a love creation. Feeling guilty keeps you from God. It hides God. That's all it's saying. We don't have to believe it. We don't have to analyze it. But just remember, the next time you feel guilty, you're attacking yourself. The next time you feel guilty, you are attacking yourself. According to the Course in Miracles, every time you feel guilty, you are attacking yourself. Every time you make yourself feel guilty, you are attacking yourself. Every time you make yourself feel guilty, you are attacking yourself. Whenever you make yourself feel guilty, you are attacking yourself, and you are also hiding God. You are hiding love. You're actually hiding your Creator. That's the friggin' first sentence in A Course in Miracles. That's the first sentence of the paragraph. I'm so glad you mighty companions online with me, giving me this energy and communicating with each other, because we're going to go for a ride. We're going to go for a ride. Divine Repetition teacher EARL Purdy, for some of you all, we're going to go for a ride tonight. The guilty always condemn. The guilty always condemn. So a guilty person condemns others. A guilty person condemns others. A guilty person condemns you. A guilty person condemns you. Does that mean that somebody who's condemning somebody all the time is somebody who's guilty? That's exactly right. It's there's according to the course, it's guilty people, guilty minds are the minds that condemn. So not only am I feeling guilty and attacking myself, not only am I feeling guilty and hiding love and God from myself, when I feel guilty, I'm going to start condemning everybody else. I'm going to start judging everybody else. I'm going to start talking about everybody else. When I feel guilty, I'm going to condemn everybody else. When I feel guilty, I'm going to condemn you. I'm going to talk about you. I'm going to dog you out if I feel guilty. That's what it just said. The guilty always condemn. The guilty always condemn. And the guilty are always attacking themselves because guilt is an attack upon yourself. And the guilt hides the Creator from us. Like people say, well, why don't we know God? If you feel guilty, you can't know God because you're hiding love from yourself. You're hiding your innocence from yourself. So feeling guilty is to hide your innocence. When a person says, I feel guilty, what they're saying is, I'm hiding my innocence right now. I am hiding my innocence right now. I feel guilty. That means I am hiding my innocence right now. So whenever you feel guilty, what are you doing? You're hiding your innocence. A person that's feeling guilty is a person that's hiding their innocence. So wherever you feel guilty is where you are hiding your innocence. The guilty always condemn, and having done so, the guilty will still condemn. So the guilty man is always condemning somebody, and they keep on condemning somebody. So the Course in Miracles said, don't you know that somebody that really feels guilty, they condemn and condemn and judge and condemn and judge and condemn and judge and condemn and judge and condemn. So a guilty person judges and condemns, and that's all they do. They just judge and condemn. And then it says, linking the future to the past, as is the ego's law. So the guilty person always thinks something that they've done in the past is something that's going to happen to them in the future. A person that feels guilty believes that something's going to happen to them in the future because of something that they did in their past. A person that feels guilty, a person that is condemning themselves, they believe that what they've done in the past is going to catch up with them. They believe that the past is going to be linked to the future. So the Course in Miracles says the guilty always condemn, they keep on condemning, and they link their future to their past. So a guilty mind is always thinking of their future in terms of what they think they've done in the past. A guilty mind is always linking their past to their future. I think something's going to happen to me in the future because of something I've done in the past. A guilty mind thinks like that. A guilty mind says something like that. That's what the Course in Miracles is saying. That's just like 3 sentences of this blasted book. This is like 3 sentences. And let me blast it. Let me let you hear those 3 sentences again. Those 3 sentences were awesome. First thing, it says that guilt is what's hiding your happiness from you. Guilt is what's hiding God from you. Guilt is what's hiding your Father from you. Guilt is attacking yourself. Whenever you feel guilty, you're really attacking yourself. Feeling guilty is attacking yourself. And then the Course says the guilty always condemns. So somebody that feels guilty is somebody that's attacking themselves, hiding God from themselves, and also attacking and condemning someone else. And the Course in Miracles says that a mind that feels guilty thinks that what they did in the past is going to affect what happens to them in the future. Diana, I needed this message tonight. I needed this message tonight. Yeah, I agree with you. Okay. All right. Fidelity to this law lets no light in. Fidelity to this law. What law? The law of thinking that what you've done in the past is going to happen to you in the future. If you keep on believing that you're going to have to deal with in the future what you've done in the past, then this is not going to let the truth in. The Court says, fidelity to this law lets no light in. So being faithful to the idea that the future is coming from what you've done in the past, the Court says if there's fidelity to this law, then you will not let the truth in. You will not let the light in. So the truth can't get to a person who still thinks that what's going to happen to them in the future is based on something that they did that was bad in the past. So if you're a person that believes you're going to be punished in the future for something that you've done in the past, then you are not going to let the truth in. You're not going to let light in. You're not going to let love in. If you think you have to be punished in the future for what you've done in the past, you're not going to let love in. If you think you're going to be punished or something bad is going to happen to you because of something you've done in the past, the Court says fidelity to this law lets no light in. For fidelity to this law of linking your past to your future demands fidelity to darkness and forbids awakening. If you are going to believe you are going to be punished for something you've done in the past, then that will keep the truth from coming in, and you will still be faithful to not awakening. Stop being faithful to being asleep. Stop being faithful to the world's laws. Stop being faithful to the way the world thinks. Fidelity to this law lets no light in, for it demands fidelity to darkness and forbids awakening. Do you know that the Course in Miracles says that darkness means ignorance? Darkness means ignorance. Darkness means ignorance. Darkness means ignorance. So the Course says, fidelity to this law lets no light in, for it demands fidelity to ignorance. And if a person's going to be faithful to ignorance, then it's going to keep them from awakening. A person that's faithful to ignorance, that's a person that is experiencing awakening being forbidden to them. So a person that is ignorant is a person that is being faithful to the idea that they have to be punished in the future for what they went through in the past, and they condemn other people because they feel guilty, and they don't know that when they feel guilty, it's an attack upon themselves, and they don't know that feeling guilty is hiding love. Feeling guilty hides God. Feeling guilty hides love. That's I think, 4 sentences of the first paragraph of this section. That just gives you some idea how awesome A Course in Miracles is. If you want to wake up, if a person wants to wake up, if a person wants to be in peace, if a person wants to be in happiness, then what do? They no longer believe they have to be punished in the future for anything that they've gone through in the past or done in the past. The ego's laws are strict. Okay, the ego's laws are strict. So fear's laws are strict, and guilt's laws are strict, and breaches are severely punished. When you break the laws of guilt, when you break the laws of fear, then the part of you that believes in fear severely punishes you. So the punishment that people are experiencing that they think is coming from somebody else is really punishment that they're putting on themselves because they dared break the rules of fear and they dared break the rules of guilt. There's a part of you that punishes you if you dare not feel guilty. There's a part of you that wants to whoop your butt if you dare not feel guilty. There's a part of you that believes so much that you are guilty that when you don't do the things that make you feel guilty, that part of you tries to punish you for it. There's a part of you that tries to punish you for being good. There's a part of you that tries to punish you for being loving. There's a part of you that tries to punish you for daring to want to be free. There's a part of you that tries to kick your butt every time you try to be loving. You know that. You know that. And that's what this book is saying to us. The ego's laws are strict and breaches are severely punished. Therefore, what do? Give no obedience to the ego's laws. Give no obedience. Do not obey the laws of this world. Do not obey the laws of fear is what I'm saying. It's saying right here, the ego's laws are strict and breaches are severely punished. Therefore, give no obedience to its laws. Disobey anything that would make you unhappy. Don't go along with anything that doesn't bring you peace. In other words, be disobedient to thinking that you are guilty. Be disobedient of any thought you have that would try to make you feel guilty. Don't obey and do any thought you have that's guilty. Don't ever let your guilty thoughts tell you what to do, because when you let your guilty thoughts tell you what to do, it's going to be an attack upon yourself. That's what it just told us, is that whenever you feel guilty, it's attack upon yourself. And the way that you keep yourself from being attacked is you start to disobey all the rules of fear. Stop doing the things that make you feel afraid. Stop doing the things that make you feel angry. Stop doing the things that make you feel angry. Stop doing the things that make you feel guilty. Stop, 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 stop. That's disobeying your ego. That is giving your ego's laws no obedience. He says the ego's laws are strict. The laws of fear, the ego is fear. The laws of fear are strict and breaches are severely punished. Therefore what? Give no obedience to the ego's laws, because the ego's laws are laws of punishment. Don't obey the laws of punishment. Stop obeying the laws of punishment. Stop doing the things that hurt you. Stop doing the things that hurt you. That's what it's saying. That's what it's saying. Give no obedience to the laws of punishment. Don't give any obedience to the laws of pain. The Course is telling you that when you obey guilty thoughts, when you go along with your anger thoughts, when you go along with your attack thoughts, then you are going to hurt yourself. Attack thoughts, guilty thoughts hurt you, And then the Course says, after a while, you go through so much pain from hurting yourself that you want to get rid of the pain you're going through for hurting yourself, for hating and hurting yourself so much by projecting that pain and that attack and that condemnation onto other people. So if you feel guilty, sooner or later, you're going to try to get rid of your guilt by blaming, projecting, and judging other people. That's what this, it excites me so much when I hear this, because the Course in Miracles is so deep. That's why I call this hardcore Course in Miracles. I've been doing this 40 years. I'm not holding back in the hardcore class. I'm just going to say it like I see it after 40 years of studying it. And what's so cool about it is the longer you study the Course, the more you realize that it says what it means and it means what it says. And so you don't have to try to figure it out, because it says, if you obey thoughts that make you feel guilty, make you feel angry, make you condemn or attack, it says you're going to hurt yourself. But if you try to be loving, then at first there is a part of you that's going to try to punish you for daring to change. So it looks like you make this big decision that you're going to make your life better, and then something happens that you don't like. And so the Course is saying to us, that's because your ego is trying to punish you for daring to want to love yourself. The part of you that doesn't love you tries to punish you when you want to love yourself. The part of you that doesn't love you, that part of you tries to punish you when you dare love yourself. But don't be afraid of it, because it can't hurt you. It says right here, the ego's laws are strict and breaches are severely punished. Therefore, give no obedience to the laws of fear, because the laws of the ego are laws of punishment. The laws of the fear are the laws of punishment. The laws of guilt are the laws of punishment. And those who follow the laws of the ego, those who follow the laws of fear, believe they are guilty. So somebody that's following the wrong laws, they can tell because they'll feel guilty. So if you're feeling guilty, say, I'm following the wrong law. I'm following the wrong rules. I'm following the wrong rules. If I feel guilty, if I feel painful, if I feel afraid, I'm supposed to say to myself, I'm following the wrong rules. I'm not following the rules of happiness. I feel guilty right now. I'm following the wrong rules. I feel guilty right now. I'm following the wrong rules. When I feel guilty, I'm following the laws of punishment. When I feel guilty, I'm punishing myself. When I feel guilty, I'm attacking myself. When I feel guilty, I'm hurting myself. When I feel guilty, I'm hurting myself. When I feel guilty, I'm hurting myself. That is what this book is saying. And if I hurt myself long enough, I'm going to start condemning. I'm going to start condemning everybody around me. And that's going to make me afraid that one day I'll be condemned. I'm going to link my past to my future. And I'm condemning, so one day I'm going to have to deal with that. So the Course is telling me that that's wrong. That doesn't matter what you did in the past. You don't have to be punished for it in the future. It doesn't matter what mistakes you made in the past. You don't have to go through the results of those mistakes in the future. That is what it's telling us, that if you believe that you made mistakes that you can't be forgiven for, then you won't let the truth in. If you believe you made mistakes that you can't forgive yourself for, then you're not going to let the truth in. You're not going to let the love in. So you got to let go of the idea that you are going to be punished for mistakes that you made in the past. You're going to be lovingly corrected. You're not going to be punished. You're going to be lovingly, gently, beautifully, wonderfully corrected. And it says right here, and those who follow them believe that they are guilty, and so they must condemn. So when you follow the rules of fear, you're going to believe that you are guilty, and then you will condemn. So between the future and the past, the laws of God must intervene between the future and the past. The laws of God must intervene. Did you hear that? It said the laws of God must intervene. It's time for the laws of God to intervene in your life. It's time for the rules of love to intervene in your life. This is going to be an intervention. Tonight, you're having an intervention. And the intervention is the laws of love, the laws of God, the laws of truth are going to intervene. And it says when? It says between the past and the future. So you have a past and you have a future. And so what you need is the laws of God to intervene between the past and the future. I don't want some of the things that I did in the past. I don't want to experience the results of that in the future. So I need the laws of God to intervene right now. I don't want to experience the results of the mistakes that I made in the past when I felt much more guilty and I was much more in my ego than I am now. I don't want to have to, I want not to believe that I've got to reap the results of what I did when I was all screwed up and messed up. I don't want to believe I got to experience in the future the result of the mistakes that I made in the past. And this book is telling me you don't have to if you let the truth intervene, if you let the laws of God intervene. It's right here on the page. I'm not making this up. Between the future and the past, The laws of God must intervene if you would free yourself. So the question is, do you want to free yourself? Do you want to free yourself? Do you want to be free? Do you want to be free? Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. Do you want to be free? Do you want to be free? Do you want to be free? If there's anybody out there that wants to be free, send me some emojis. If there's anybody out there beside me, is it anybody else out there? Is it anybody else out there beside me? If you want to be free, let me see some emojis on the screen. If you want to be free, let me see some emojis on the screen. Yeah. Do you want to be free? Say, I want to be free. Do you want to be free now? I want to be free now. Do you want to be free now? I want to be free now. Okay, here we go. Thank you. There's a lot of emojis coming on there. Okay. See, this is interactive. I need to know you out there. I need to know you are out there. Yes. Okay. The ego's laws are strict. The ego's laws are strict. Now, the Course in Miracles is only talking about love or fear. So let me say this to you the way I see it after 40 years, okay? The laws of love are strict, and breaches are severely punished. You break a law of fear, and you're going to be severely punished. Therefore, what do? You don't give any obedience to the laws of the ego. You don't give any obedience to the laws of fear, because they only are the laws of punishment. If you obey the rules of fear, you're going to be obeying the rules of punishment. And those who follow the rules of punishment believe they are guilty. Those who believe in punishment believe that they are guilty. Those who believe in punishment, those are the ones who believe that they are guilty. Those who believe in punishing are those who believe that they are guilty. How do you know if you believe you are guilty? How can you know if you believe you are guilty? The way you can know that you believe that you are guilty is that you will believe in punishment. If you believe in punishment, then you have a guilty mind. If you believe in punishment, then you have a guilty mind. Those who follow the laws of punishment believe that they are guilty. Those who are following the rules of fear believe that they are guilty. So how do you know where you stand? If you believe in punishment, you have a guilty mind. If you believe in punishment, then you're hurting yourself. If you believe in punishment, you're hurting yourself, is what this book is saying, which we don't have to believe. You don't have to believe this. I don't have to believe this. And since we don't have to believe it, we can let ourselves listen to what it's saying. Since we don't have to believe it, it's okay for us to hear what it's saying. And what did it say that you don't have to believe? What did I just say that you don't have to believe? I just said that if you believe in punishment, then according to this, then you believe that you are guilty. And it said earlier, if you believe that you are guilty, then you're going to also be a person that condemns. And it says that between the future and the past, the laws of God must intervene. Between the future and the past, the laws of God must intervene. If you would free yourself, between the future and the past, the laws of God must intervene. Between the future and the past, if you want to free yourself, you got to let the laws of God in. If you want to free yourself, you have to let the laws of God in. Atonement stands between the future and the past. The Course in Miracles says the atonement is the correction of error. That the atonement just means the correction of error. So you could say between the future and the past, the laws of God must intervene. If you would free yourself, between the future and the past, the laws of God must intervene. The laws of love must intervene. If you're going to free yourself, you got to let the laws of love intervene. If you want to free yourself, you have to say, I'm willing to let the laws of love intervene now. I'm willing to let the laws of love intervene now. I'm willing to let the laws of love intervene now. It says it right here. If you would free yourself, between the future and the past, the laws of God must intervene if you want to free yourself. So it's answering the question, are you a person that wants to be free? Many of us just said yes, right? Well, it says, well, if you really want to free yourself, you've got to let the laws of God intervene. You have to let love intervene. God is love, the laws of God, that's the laws of love. So atonement, which is the correction of error, stands between the future and the past. Like a lamp shining so brightly that the chain of darkness in which you bound yourself will disappear. I'm going to love you so much that your fear disappears. I'm going to love you so much that your fear disappears. I'm going to love you so much that your fear disappears. I'm going to be such a lamp in your life that your darkness disappears. I'm going to be such a lamp in your life that your darkness is going to disappear. I'm going to be such a lamp in your life shining so brightly that that chain of fear that you have around you is just going to disappear. We're going to love each other so much that all of our fears are going to disappear. We're going to love each other so much that all of our fears are going to disappear. We're going to love each other so much that all of our fears will disappear. We're going to love our fears away. We're going to love each other's fears away. The Course says it right here. What? Like a lamp shining so brightly that the chain of darkness in which you bound yourself. The Course in Miracles says you put a chain around yourself with fear. You're putting a chain around yourself with fear. You're putting a chain around yourself with guilt. You're putting a chain around yourself by feeling guilty. You're putting a chain around yourself by feeling guilty. But we're going to love each other so much that our guilt is going to disappear and that chain is going to drop away. So don't try to figure out how that's going to happen. Don't try to figure out how that's going to happen. This is just telling us what's going on. It's telling us that if you want to be free, you have to let these kind of thoughts intervene, these kind of loving thoughts intervene. The loving thought is we can love each other so much that our fears disappear. That's what you call a loving thought. That's a loving thought. For me to tell you, I want to love you so much that all your fears and insecurities and guilt just melt away. I want to give you so much love that all your fear and insecurity just melts away. I want to be such a loving being in your life that all of your fears just disappear. I want to be such a powerful light in your life that all of your fear, any of your guilt, any of your unhappiness just disappears. The Course in Miracles says that is a loving thought. In case you want to know what a loving thought looks like or what a loving thought says, that is an example. It is, I love you so much that I want to shine all your fear away. That's the kind of person you ought to want to be in a relationship with. That's the kind of person you ought to want as a partner and a lover and a friend. Somebody that refuses to let you feel guilty, that refuses to let you attack yourself, that refuses to let you condemn others, that refuses to let you believe that you've got to necessarily be punished for something you've done in the past. Somebody that loves you is going to love you so much that you cannot be afraid in their presence. I want to love you so much that you can't be afraid of me. I want to love you so much that you can't be afraid of me. I want to love you and give you so much love and so much peace that you cannot be afraid of me because you are receiving so much love from me, you couldn't possibly be afraid of me. I'm going to give you so much love that you couldn't possibly doubt me, and I couldn't possibly doubt you. Wow. Wow. Here are some of the comments. Esther said, all fear would disappear. Bree says, I'm putting a chain around myself for the guilt I feel. That's right. Diana says, beautiful, Raj, thanks so much. Conduit. Brooke says, I will love so deeply that only the I am remains. That's right. That's right. And I want you to take a second to really hear that. It says, like a lamp shining so brightly that the chain of darkness in which you bound yourself will disappear. I'm telling you, I've been reading this book for 40 years, and it says some of the most loving things you'd ever hear in your life. The ones once a person stops trying to analyze it and just take a minute to go, okay, I'm willing to hear what it's saying. Even if I don't believe it, I'm willing to just hear what it's saying. Before I give myself my commentary about it, let me just hear what it's saying. And let's hear what it just said. in that first paragraph. Do you know that it says that guilt is the only thing that hides love from you? Guilt is the only thing that hides God from you. Guilt is an attack upon yourself. You're hurting yourself every time you feel guilty. The guilty always condemn. A guilty person just condemns and condemns and condemns and condemns. A guilty person believes that what happened in their past, it might cause something to happen to them in their future. A guilty person doesn't let the truth in. A guilty person doesn't let love in. A guilty person is faithful to ignorance. A guilty person doesn't really want to wake up. The laws of guilt and fear are very strict. And every time you try to break any of the rules of unhappiness, then there's a part of you that tries to punish you at first for daring to try to love yourself, for daring to try to change. Therefore, you have to never obey your ego. Don't let your guilt and your anger and your fear direct you. Don't let your guilt and anger and fear direct you and tell you what to do. You are most wrong and missing what's going on when you're upset and angry and feeling guilty. So most interpretations that you make when your perception is distorted with anger and guilt is going to be a screwed up decision that you're going to regret that you made. Decisions that you make in anger and decisions that you make in guilt are likely to be the wrong decisions for your happiness, is what we are being told right here. You got to stop obeying your ego. Stop obeying the part of you that's afraid and doesn't believe and is angry. Stop obeying the part of you that believes in sickness and pain and attack. Stop believing. It says the breaches are severely punished, therefore give no obedience to his laws, for they are what? The laws of punishment. And people who believe in punishment believe they are guilty. And people who believe they are guilty are the people that condemn. And between the future and the past, we need love to intervene if we want to free ourselves. And there's a correction that stands between our past and our future that will actually be like a love that's so bright that all of your fear just disappears. That's what that first paragraph said. I just said what that first paragraph said, and what it said was a trip. Release from guilt is the ego's whole undoing. Release from guilt is the one thing that will undo all of your fear. Releasing yourself from guilt will undo all of your fear. Releasing yourself from guilt will undo all of your pain. Release yourself from guilt is the ego's whole undoing. And what is the ego? The part of the mind that believes it's guilty and afraid. The ego is the part of the mind that thinks it's separate. The ego is a person that thinks that they're separate, is a person that's in their ego. A person that thinks they're separate and different from everybody else is a person that's in their ego. And anybody that's in fear is a person that's in their ego. Anybody in guilt is a person that's in their ego. So how do you get released from the guilt? How do you get released from the thing that's hurting you? How do you get released from the thing that you're doing that's hurting you? How do you get released from the things that you're doing that hurt you? You have to be released from guilt. Release from guilt is the ego's undoing. Releasing you from fear and unhappiness is the undoing of your ego. Every time you are happy, you are undoing your ego. Every time you are peaceful, you are undoing your ego. Anytime you feel grateful, anytime you feel love, that's the undoing of your ego. When you're having fun, when you're feeling joyful, that is the undoing of your guilt. That's the undoing of the ego. So the way you undo fear is to be released from guilt. If you have some worry and some anxiety going on in your life about something right now, the way you get rid of that anger and the way you get rid of that anxiety is to be released from guilt. How are you released from guilt? You are released from guilt when you let the laws of God intervene in your life, when you let the truth into your life, it will release you from your guilt or pain or fear. Release from guilt is the ego's whole undoing. The whole undoing of the ego is you releasing yourself from guilt. Stop doing the things that you make yourself feel guilty about. Stop doing the things that you make yourself feel. Guilt is the undoing of your fear. It's the undoing of the ego. It's right there. It's right there on the page. Release from guilt is the ego's whole undoing. Make no one fearful. Don't make anybody feel afraid. To the best of your ability, never make anyone feel afraid. To the best of your ability, don't frighten anyone. To the best of your ability, don't frighten anyone. To the best of your ability, don't frighten anyone. To the best of your ability, don't make anyone afraid. To the best of your ability, don't make anyone afraid. Don't make anyone afraid. Don't analyze that statement. Well, they're the one that can make themselves afraid. I can't really make them afraid. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just remember this. Try not to make anyone afraid. Just remember that. It says, release from guilt is the ego's whole undoing. Make no one fearful. That's a direct instruction. For that person's guilt is your guilt. Your guilt is my guilt. My guilt is your guilt. So if I make you guilty, I'm increasing my guilt. If I make you guilty, I'm increasing my own guilt. By seeing you as guilty, I am increasing my own guilt. When you see someone else as guilty, you are increasing your guilt. When you see someone else as guilty and you want somebody to be punished rather than corrected and healed, when you want somebody to be punished rather than corrected and healed, then you're making yourself even more guilty. You're hurting yourself even more. When you want somebody to be punished because you see them as guilty, that is increasing your own guilt. It says their guilt is yours. And by obeying the ego's harsh commandments, you bring its condemnation on yourself. So there's a part of the mind that believes that you're guilty, and it commands you to see other people as guilty. There's a part of your mind that thinks you're guilty, and then it demands you look out and see somebody else as guilty. But when you see other people as guilty, it brings the condemnation back upon you. Giving and receiving is the same. So whatever I give you is what's coming to me. So if I want to see you as guilty, it's going to increase my guilt. So I'm bringing condemnation on myself by condemning someone else. Just hear that. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to believe it. None of that. It's just something that's being said right now that's really, really deep. And so the Course in Miracles is telling us you will not escape the punishment that your own guilt offers those who obey it. When you obey your own feelings of guilt, it brings punishment and pain to you. When you obey those thoughts that tell you that you are not enough, or that you are not loved, or that you are guilty, whenever you listen to that voice, whenever you listen to those thoughts, then those thoughts bring you pain. They attract pain to you. When you want somebody else to be condemned and punished, then the Course in Miracles says, then you will not escape the punishment your ego offers those who obey it. No longer obey ideas that tell you that you are guilty. No longer believe ideas that say you are unworthy. No longer believe ideas that say you are temporary or not enough or insecure. Disobey those beliefs that tell you that you are just a body. It is time for you not to obey your own ego. Stop obeying your own ego. Stop doing and saying what your own ego tells you to say. And your ego is the part of you that is judging, criticizing, and condemning. That is how you can tell when you're in your ego mind. What are you doing? You are condemning. You are feeling guilty. You're believing that other people need to be punished. That's how you can tell you're in your own darkness. And so you need a light. You need love. You need truth to intervene right now so that you never believe that you would need to be punished in the future for something that you did in the past if you're willing to let the laws of love teach you. If you're willing to learn something new, there's no need for you to reap the results of things that you did in your ignorance, in your fear, and in your selfishness in the past. You don't have to reap something negative out of that if you're willing to let the laws of God intervene right now. And how do you do that? First of all, don't make anybody else fearful by condemning them and seeing them as guilty. That because the release from guilt is the undoing of your fear. The release from guilt is the undoing of your unhappiness. So don't make anybody else fearful. Don't see anybody else as guilty. See them as deserving correction. Deserving correction, not punishment. See them as deserving and needing correction. And that will begin to free you from the darkness and the ignorance of your own self-condemnation and the pain that your own guilt is causing you. All right. It's so good to say that, and have a nice day. So, thank you so much. And I'm gonna do a quick recap of that because that was something I need to listen back to. If you like to make a financial expression of appreciation, I'd love it. Go to EARLPURDY.com, P-U-R-D-Y, EARLPURDY.com. Or on Venmo, you can just use my email address, EARLPURDY@EARLPURDY.com. Just go to my website, www.EARLPURDY.com. I'm telling you. And thank you for being at Facebook Live. And on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, I do hardcore course, Way of Mastery, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And on Thursday, Hardcore Course in Miracles, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And also on Sundays, I do a 1 p.m. Mountain Time Course in Miracles Facebook Live presentation, all on the EARL Purdy page. And also that's right, Sundays at 1 o'clock Mountain Time. See, I'm in another state of consciousness right now, you all. I'm telling you, it's hard to get 10 sentences out of me right now. Because all you have to do is remember one thing. All you have to do out of everything that we just covered in Hardcore Course in Miracles, all you have to do is just remember one thing. If you said you are going to make no one fearful, if you just go, okay, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. I'm not going to make anybody else afraid. I'm not going to try to frighten anybody else. I'm not going to try to condemn anybody else. It says, if you want to have your fear undone, all you have to do is release yourself from guilt. And you know what will help release you from guilt? Is to realize that guilt is an attack upon yourself. Remember, it said, y'all need to remember that guilt is an attack upon yourself. If you knew that you were attacking yourself by feeling guilty, then the Course says that you would no longer want to make yourself feel guilty. That if you really knew what the guilt was doing to you, then you would no longer want to make yourself feel guilty. And then it says that, that once a person feels guilty, then they condemn other people and they keep on condemning other people. And when you feel guilty, it also says you're afraid that you're going to be punished in the future for what you did in the past. And he says when you believe you're going to be punished in the future for what happened in the past, that's not going to let any light in. That's not going to let any truth in. So the correction can't come in if you believe you have to be punished for something you did in the past. Then it says that the part of you that wants you to be afraid has very strict rules, that the part of you that wants you to be afraid has very strict rules, and breaches are severely punished. So you have to stop obeying the rules of fear. You have to stop doing the things that make you feel afraid. You have to stop doing the things that make you feel guilty. You have to disobey the laws of guilt. You have to disobey the laws of fear, and then they won't hurt you anymore. But it says those who believe in punishment are those who believe that they are guilty. So how do you know that a person believes they're guilty? This is a person that's all about punishing and believes in punishment. Then how did it say that we would free ourselves? It said we would free ourselves by letting the laws of love intervene. And you for an hour, you let the laws of love intervene. See, this was the laws of love, and I intervened, and I'm so glad you let me intervene. I'm so glad you let me intervene. I'm Earl Purdy, and I see my mighty companions making these incredible comments, and I look at all your comments, and you also are communicating with each other. And I want you to hear this thought that came from tonight. We want to love each other so much that it makes each other's fear disappear. Do you want to love me so much that my fear disappears? Would you love me so much that my guilt disappears? Would you love me so much that my lack disappears? Will you love me so much that my sickness disappears? Would you love me so much that my anger disappears? That's what we heard, that if you want to get out of your pain, you got to let love intervene. And love intervening means you're willing to let a love in that is so strong that all your guilt disappears. So make no one fearful. That's the same as saying, to the best of your ability, don't condemn anyone. Mighty companions, I love you. And may the course be with you. Share this video. Listen to this one over and over again. That's what I'm going to do. This was deep. Wow. Love you.